You know, guys, over the course of the past couple weeks, since the new season started, I've come to anticipate this series every single week. Cause boy, is it always something. Like, oh my lord, man. This show changes genres every week. Every single week. The first episode, this man wants to be Batman. The second week, he's basically Kirito. And the freaking Today he turned into freaking Denji, basically, from Chainsaw Man. Like, what the hell? Show's having an identity crisis over here. Our episode this week was literally a rom-com. We turned into a rom-com, bro. When did that happen? But it was actually enjoyable. It was still enjoyable. This show always entertains me every single week. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the slapsticky goodness, I guess. The Eminence in Shadow, episode 3 today. Now, our episode begins with Sid kind of filling us in on exactly why all the girls left at the end of the episode last week, as he says, according to the girls, the Cult of Diablos is an enormous organization that runs on a global scale. And you know, that's extremely impressive for something that's not real in the slightest. They said something about having to fight against it, then they scattered to the four corners of the wind. And Sid believes that, oh, they've just all grown up now. Like, we can't play along with this little game of yours forever. He thinks that they grew up and realized that what he was saying was just made up and just decided to leave on their own. That's why he believes they left. He says, I can't really blame them. That's how I was in my old life. As everyone gets older, they forget about their superheroes. As we end up transitioning to seeing how he died and ended up in this other world in the first place. And I gotta admit to you guys, jokes aside, this is a little dumb. He's literally smashing his head into the rocks at the prospect of not being able to have magic. Runs into the road and gets hit by a truck. Now, I gotta be honest, guys, that's a little cringe. That's kind of dumb. What a dumb way to die. Just imagine waking up in the other world and like, damn, I really died like that? He says, even if I'm the last person in the world, I will keep striving to be the Eminence in Shadow. And it's here we transition to the Midgard Kingdom. But there's no chocobos here because it's actually a giant metropolis with a population of more than 1 million citizens. Now, you see, Sid's in the capital because he did actually follow in his sister's footsteps and enroll in the academy, Midgard Academy for Dark Knights. And this place is the shit. It's a super prestigious institution where promising students from inside and outside the kingdom, where people can gather for instructions. It's a medieval style hierarchical society. And our boy Sid is still trying to play the part of background character A. And he plays the part well by getting some boring-ass, legitimate background character-ass friends who kind of remind me of Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers. I really don't know why, but they give me that kind of vibe. And their names are Skell and Poe, too. Like, that's just great. Now, Sid's been at the academy at this point for 7 months, and he thinks he's blending in very nicely as the background character so far. But he might be put into a situation that might change that when his NPC-esque friend says, anyway, you remember the penalty for the guy who scored worse than yesterday's test, right? And this penalty, whew, it's a rough one. You have to confess to the most sought-after girl in school and suffer her brutal rejection. Truly a rom-com-esque situation. Exactly the kind of background character event Sid's always wanted to experience, because why not? As we meet the girl in question, who is Princess Alexia, as she's getting this absolute cornball hitting on her. He says, Goddess of our campus, I humbly ask you to join me in pure and upright courtship. And like any good girl with some standards, she flat out refuses him to his dejected face. But our boy Sid's not worried. No. He's got a plan. He's got a game plan right here. As he says, don't worry. I've stayed up all night thinking of what to do. Watch closely and see how it's done, fellas. Behold the entirety of the world's most background character-like love confession. What can go wrong? And this scene really is just straight out of a rom-com, bro. This really is some shit you'd see as he wipes his hand on his side and says, will you please be my girlfriend, please? He says, that was perfect. This is exactly the background character I've always wanted to be. My plan will never fail. But to literally everyone's surprise, she says, all right, I will. I've been waiting for someone like you. And everyone's shocked, even me. I'm like, yo, all right, what's the catch here? What's your real purpose for doing this? Ain't no fucking way you're saying yes to a guy like that. No way. As Sid literally says, like, yo, how did I get on the rom-com protagonist route? What's going on? I'm trying to be an edgelord, not a romancer. And now the whole school's got their eyes on him. Everyone's like, look at him. That's him. Look at that average motherfucker. He ain't shit. He ain't nothing. I'm better than you. Everyone is so jealous. Sid literally asks his friends, like, yo, y'all don't think this is weird? They're like, if I'm gonna be blunt with you, you have nowhere near the specs that would make you worthy to date her. And damn, man, you can always count on your best friends to tell you, yeah, you ain't shit. Sid's like, yo, I'm kind of worried. There's definitely a catch in this. We live in different worlds. No way she'd want someone like me. What's really going on? And here comes the girl herself, Alexa, in this moment, as she pushes Sid aside, sits down, gets a huge spread of food, and we're just chilling here. And it's pretty awkward, I gotta admit. But she's just eyeing Sid the whole time. Like, she clearly wants something. She clearly knows something. Sid's like, yo, I'm gonna get this chick to dump me quick. Operation Dump Me Now. But she's playing a bit of a game too, as she says, oh, I understand you're studying Royal Bushin fencing for your physical education today. Why don't we do it together? Sid's like, nah, I can't do that. I'm section 9. I'm the lowest of all the sections. You know, I couldn't possibly go into your mats with you. She's like, no, I put in a good word for you. They opened up a spot in section 1. Come on down. And she is clearly up to something. Just look at that smile, man. And it's here we transition to their training mats, where Sid's actually analyzing her the whole time, saying, Alexa's moves never land, and her movements are slow. She doesn't really use magic either. At first, I thought she was just matching her level to mine. That's not it. In a word, she's hyper-aware. Perfectly toned technique that stays true to the basics and eschews any excess. But it's bland, very plain. The world sees her as far inferior to her sister, who is currently lauded as the most powerful Dark Knight of the kingdom. But her blandness is the result of a lot of effort. It's proof that she's built up her skill one step at a time. And she might have a pretty interesting personality, but she works hard. That's what this scene is really trying to tell us right now. She's a very hard worker. She tells him, thanks for a good match. I like your fencing style, but I hate it at the same time. As we literally see the fencing teacher start hitting on her in this scene, and Sid's like, alright, now I get what's going on here. Because you see, Xanon, who's the instructor, is actually one of her potential marriage candidates, and she doesn't want to marry him, so she needed a patsy to help her get out of it, and Sid fills that role. Sid tells her that, I don't want to attract more attention, and I'm not interested in getting mixed up in your problems. She tells him, as if you were any better, Mr. Sid, I confess fake love because I lost a bet, Cogno. And now we start getting into a little bit of spicy blackmail. I had a little chat with your friends, and they turned beet red and sang like some canaries. It's not very nice to toying with the pure heart of an innocent young girl, after all. She says, I think I'll have you carry on with this boyfriend act. You can stop after that man gives up on me. Truly solidifying we've turned into a rom-com this week. As she actually takes out a gold coin and flicks it on the ground. And Sid's like, do I strike you as the type of man who can be bought with money? She says, yes. And he's like, you're damn right. As he reaches down and goes for the money. And she takes another coin out, and he catches that shit in his teeth, saying, yo, my allowance from my parents isn't nearly enough to fund my Eminence and Shadow operation. I'll do what I can to get some money. As she literally pats him on the head and calls him Fido. This man really did turn into Denji. What the hell? And it's here we get some scenes of their wacky rom-com romance. But we see that it's not really working well with Xanon, as Sid even says that he's taking the wait-and-see approach to see how this is handled. And she can't stand it. She's getting pissed off, venting to him, as he says, as expected. Alexa was very prudent in public, but behind closed doors, she was a whirlwind of insults and spite. Meaning, she's a tsundere on the outside and inside. I'll just devote myself to the role of a robot who's programmed to agree. There's no point in debating with her. Sid asks her, like, so what is the problem with marrying him? Why don't you want to do it? She says, everything's the problem. I hate his very existence. She tells him that it's easy to pretend to be perfect. Hell, I do it myself. But I don't judge only what I see on the surface. Sid says, what do you judge by then? She tells him, flaws. An extremely negative way to view people. As she says, that's why I have nothing against you, who's full of flaws, who has no talents, and has no real redeeming qualities. And if I was Sid, I'd probably take that as a compliment too. That's probably the best you're gonna get from her. Sid asks her, alright, then what are Mr. Zenon's flaws then? And she tells him that he doesn't have any. But she adds that there's no such thing as a human being with no flaws. If they did exist, they'd be a massive liar or they weren't right in the head. As he tells her, thank you for that totally arbitrary and biased response, princess. Thanks a lot. As she says, you're very welcome, my ever so flawed Fido. And literally flips her pet another coin, guys. Oh man, it's frickin' something, alright. He really turned into Denji here. And it's small, but you can clearly tell that their relationship is deepening, if only even a little bit. But it's here we actually transition to a pretty serious scene, honestly. And probably my favorite scene of the whole episode. As we see both of them just sitting on the train together, just alone, as she tells him that, your fencing is mysterious to me. You've got the basics down, but nothing more than that. There's absolutely nothing else to it. But I can't take my eyes away from it. But I still hate it. Sid asks her, like, what's wrong with you today? Your fencing was unusually aggressive and sloppy. And it's backstory time as she says, all my life, I've always wanted to be as good as my sister Iris. But what I have has never been the same as what she has. So I figured it out on my own, tried to get stronger in my own way, and look where it got me. You know what they call me, don't you? As Sid responds with, the fencer ordinaire. She says, your style is just as ordinary as mine, unfortunately for you. But Sid tells her that, I don't think it's unfortunate. I like your fencing style. She tells him, someone's told me that before, at the Bushin Festival, after I've suffered a humiliating defeat. My sister said it to me. But she could never understand what was going through my head. Just how absolutely pathetic I felt. I've hated my sword style ever since. As Sid tells her that, I'm not a great person. If 1 million people were to die on the other side of the world, I wouldn't care. But there are things that would bother me. They might be things that other people see as worthless, but to me, they are the most precious things in life. That's why I like your fencing style. As she literally pulls her sword out, points it at him, and says, what exactly do you mean by telling me that? He says nothing, but if I did mean anything, it's just that I get pissed off when people diss the things I like. That's how I feel. As the conductor literally comes in, and he's like, oh, yo, what the hell's going on in here? She says, oh, as we get a brief little scene to go between both of their expressions. As she tells him goodbye and walks away, and Sid says, I guess this is the end of my unwanted relationship. Now, I'm no expert, guys, but to me it looked like he just landed a critical hit. Without even trying to, it seems like he just hit her heart right there. As we transition to the next day, and his friends are literally like, alright bro, I know you only dated her for 2 weeks, but how far did you get? You gotta let us know. Come on now. But it's here as they're approaching school that they see Zenon there with a couple other knights as they approach them and surround them. He tells him that you should know that Princess Alexa did not return to her dorm last night. The Night Order has been investigating this as a potential kidnapping, and as the last person to have been in contact with her, you are the prime suspect. So we just want to ask you some questions. As Sid looks around and he sees that they mean business because they all have their swords, and he has like 8 knights with him right here. As Sid decides that now's not really a good time to fight, as he actually gives up and our episode ends. And guys, this show is freaking ridiculous. I love it though. I'm really enjoying it each week. It's fun. We really change genres every single week, it feels like. It's kind of wild. We got a nice slapsticky rom-com-y episode today. And I was not expecting it, but I'm not mad about it either. So you guys let me know what you thought down below. And what do you think about our new character, Alexa? You think she's gonna join the squad of his femme fatals? You think she's gonna become one of them? Let me know down below. I'm gonna say yes, but you never know. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day. And let's try to get some supernatural and psychological next week for our episode. Why not? I'll see you guys then.